Chapman, also known as Bass Stickman. And what we're doing here today is we are throwing, once again, another huge rally in a liberal enclave, Portland, Oregon. The thing about these liberal enclaves is that they systematically oppress people of right-wing thought and ideology. Most people here in Portland, you can't walk down the street wearing a MAGA hat. You can't walk down the street with a Trump shirt on. If your car has a Trump sticker on it, your car gets keyed. So this is a systematic oppression and suppression of people of right-wing thought and ideology. So we have these rallies in these liberal enclaves to let these people know we will no longer be oppressed. We will no longer allow ourselves to be attacked without defending and attacking back. And that's what you see here today is this sea of patriots, warriors, and lovers of liberty and freedom. We've had enough. We're standing up to the communists. The Antifa that have assembled here across the street, these guys are domestic terrorists. These are Trotskyite stormtroopers. They are hardline communists that wish to destroy Western civilization and upon its ashes build a communist dystopia. We're not going to have that. We're never going to allow it, and we're willing to shed blood to defend our nation, our Western civilization, and our way of life. And then that's what we're here to do today. We're here to assemble peacefully. It looks like the cops have showed up. They're doing a very good job. Homeland Security's out here. As you can see, we've got a bunch of big boys, citizen security guys, the Oath Keepers, 3%ers, the militia. They've all shown up for support, defense, and security. We're going to have a bunch of great speakers here. Hopefully you're going to get some of those speeches on video. What a lot of people try to portray us as is that we're white supremacist groups, or that we're white nationalists, and nothing could be further from the truth. Typically at these rallies, we have more people of color than Antifa does, which tends to be nothing but spoiled white kids that are sitting there whining and having spazzing fits and going into acts of violence. So what you're going to see here is an outpouring of love for 1776 Americana, our President Donald Trump, and a outpouring of love for freedom and liberty. And what you're going to see is the willingness for people to sacrifice to preserve that liberty. Thank you.
Killer. Appreciate your time.
And dripping blood. Disgusting, right? So Kathy Griffin works for CNN. CNN is ISIS. CNN is weaponized propaganda, weaponized media, weaponized against the American people, against freedom. And specifically, one of the things that they are most known for is race baiting. It's constantly race baiting, constantly stirring the racial pot, keeping the races riled up and fighting each other. That way the government can run roughshod over everybody, and we're too busy fighting each other to notice that most of the time our real enemy is the government that is constantly dividing us and taking away our rights and our liberties.
Out of curiosity, this being a free speech rally, would you not say that Kathy Griffin making art like in that nature is not falling within free speech? No,
I mean it's her right to do so. I'm not saying she doesn't have a right to make that kind of art, but it's disgusting. And when you have ISIS running through the Middle East, beheading people by the thousands, and then you have a picture of a well-known media personality holding a beheaded effigy of our president, this is basically trying to instigate violence against our president. If you had somebody holding a beheaded effigy, a right-wing person holding a beheaded effigy of Donald Trump, Barack Obama, the entire world's media would go into conniption fits.
Right.
And then that person would be in fear of their life, probably for the rest of their life.
Hey, can I ask you a question? What happened when that actually did happen? There's been a lot of that kind of recently. They kind of I don't agree.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was that in like LA. Where did they do that?
Yeah, there was a number of like him being hung and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with those type of images of any of our presidents. I don't think that's good. And I'm no fan of Obama. I think he's an enemy of the people, and I think he's a crypto-communist. But I don't think we should run around hanging effigies don't think we should. We should have more civil debate and discourse than that.
What do you think about the Antifa in the park across the street?
So Antifa is short for anti-fascist. They're not anti-fascist. What Antifa is they are hardline communists. They're domestic terrorists. And what they do is they wish to suppress anybody's speech that it does not fall in line with their hardline communist ideology. So I don't even really like to call them Antifa anymore. I just call them domestic terrorists and communists. Because that's what they are. Nobody's being fooled at this point. We had 3 rallies in Berkeley, which is part of what started this whole movement. 2 of the rallies turned violent. The first rally, Battle of Berkeley, that's kind of how I came to fame. When I went to the defense of myself and my fellow right-wing brothers and sisters, it became violent because Antifa showed up to suppress our First Amendment rights and to attack us. All right, they're not just there to voice their displeasure with our beliefs and ideology. They're there to attack. That's why they dress like ISIS with their faces covered up, so they're harder to identify. The second Battle of Berkeley, they showed up to attack once again, and they got their asses handed to them. We destroyed them that day. But they showed up and they attacked us again. We didn't attack them. The Berkeley 3.0, the third one, they showed up. We had 400 plus people. They decided not to attack. They decided not to come and disrupt our event. There was no violence. Nobody got attacked. We knew where Antifa was the entire time. They were circling a group of about 70 of them. About 2 blocks away, they were circling our event. Now, if I was supposedly a violent person, I could have rounded up 70, 80 of my guys. We could have went out there and we could have handled it. We would have handed their asses again. But we didn't do that. Because we respect their right to free speech and freedom of assembly, and they're going to have to respect ours. So because they didn't show up, there was no violence. Violence is not an issue of the right. Violence is an issue of the left. Organized violence is specifically an issue of the left. Barack Obama got elected. Where was the white boogeyman that was trying to start the groups of white boogeymen that were going to go out and assassinate black people and start race wars and start riots? It never happened. No Barack Obama rallies were ever disrupted by people on the right. No Hillary rallies were ever disrupted by people on the right. On the left, on the other hand, they disrupted Donald Trump rallies consistently, over and over again, attack innocent people for doing nothing other than exercising their First Amendment rights. Organized violence is an issue of the right. The media all needs to start talking about it.
What do you think of the Portland killers?
Oh, I think the guy's a scumbag, and then hopefully they serve it to him through the justice system. But he's not a Trump supporter, and he's not a white supremacist. He's a nutcase, and it's come out that his tweets specifically stated in his tweets that he supported Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein. So he's a leftist.
Do you consider yourself alt-right?
I consider myself an American nationalist.
What does that mean?
It means it's a type of nationalism specifically applied to America, where we come together under Americana, 1776, the embrace of our beautiful country, Western civilization. Regardless of race, regardless of sexual identity, we all come together to embrace America, American values, and put Americans first in all the dealings of this country.
Do you have any thoughts about when the mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, pretty much called all of you guys white supremacist Christian terrorists?
This is what they do, so this is nothing new. So the left has been doing this. This is a dog whistle. The left has been doing this for decades. So nobody is surprised when another leftist comes out and tries to identify freedom-loving patriots like ourselves as white supremacists and as white nationalists and Christian terrorists. So it has no teeth anymore. Nobody even believes it. You got the irredeemables on the left that still eat that shit up. Everybody else just laughs at it. It's a joke.
What's an example of the kind of thing you can't say because of the pressure from the left? It's about free speech. What's something you can't say or worried you won't be able to say soon?
Something I can't say?
Or worried that you'll lose the right to say. You say this about free speech. So what's an example of the kind of thing that you can't say or won't be able to say soon because of it?
Well, I mean, if you call for people to be assassinated, I mean...
No, I'm saying the kind of thing you believe in that you're afraid you're not going to be able to say soon. You would say you're worried about losing your freedom of speech. What kind of thing are you not able to say?
Okay, so, like, for instance, if you look at places like Britain, where they have extreme hate crime laws. So if you're British and you complain about the Islamification of Europe, the Islamification of Britain, the implementation of Sharia law, the threat of Muslim terrorism within Britain, you get a knock at the door and you get charged with inciting racial hatred. You can face up to 7 years in prison. Okay, those are the type of laws that have been creeping in over here in this country, and those are the type of laws we have to push back on. We have to be able to speak openly about that sort of stuff. These are legitimate threats for any society, and they need to be talked about and discussed. And so what has happened in Britain is you've had this blanket of a stifling blanket on dissent, and free Brits are unable to voice their opinions regarding a multitude of things because they face legal penalties, everywhere from massive fines to prison time. So those are the kind of laws, and I think Obama passed a hate crime bill that has legalized or has made illegal various forms of speech, and those are the kind of laws we got to push back on.
Do you know specifically what those laws are by chance?
You know, I'd have to look it up and find out exactly what they are. I think there was one hate crime law. It expanded the hate crime laws, and I believe it was passed about 4 years ago. I haven't looked up the information, but I could look it up.
Those are...
Man, we got surrounded.
I was going to say, those are laws about violence, and then they add the hate crime motivation to it and increase this. But
what's the whole point of that? What's the point of passing hate crime laws? Why does it matter what you were thinking in your mind at the time that you did the crime? The fact that it's a crime. What you thought at the time shouldn't matter. A crime's a crime. So if you murder a crime, if you murder somebody, and it's a murder, and it should be treated as a murder. So it shouldn't be treated as a thought crime. What you were thinking, you know what I mean? So that's what hate crimes have done. And what they typically do is they apply hate crimes to whites far more than they do to minorities. So what you see is a lot of whites getting charged with hate crimes for things that aren't necessarily hate crimes. There are legitimate ones, of course, but then you'll have minorities that will literally beat the shit out of a white kid because he's white, call him a honky. They call them a cracker while they're beating them up, and then they don't get a hate crime. So and then just like in Britain, you can have the radical Islamists sit there and talk about behead the queen, imposition of Sharia law, behead the unbeliever. They walk around with ISIS flags in downtown London. They don't ever get any crimes, but if you're British and you speak out against Islamization, then you get a knock at the door.
So this gentleman right here next to you, he made a suggestion that there were different classes of people, and therefore that's why we should have these hate crimes. What's your opinion on classes of people?
So what are we supposed to do? So certain people get certain rights and other people don't get other rights? Is that what we do? We prop certain people up and we say, okay, you're now a protected class, and this group of people over here, because of the color of their skin, they can't criticize you or say anything about you? Is that it? How about like on HBO when a black comic gets up there and makes fun of white people for an hour straight? Nobody says a fucking thing. You try to be a white comic and you go up there and make fun of black folks in good nature, all of a sudden you've lost your job, your career is over. So you don't have protected classes of people. You don't have protected classes of free speech. Free speech is free speech, man. Everybody's got the same rights, regardless of their skin color.
Do you think protected classes in this protected class
No, it does harm because then what they do is they abuse their protected class status. They abuse it, and then when you put people into into victim roles, into various roles of victimization, then they play the part of the victim. They all of a sudden have an excuse for their lack of accomplishment or their lack of their position or their standing in society, and then they say over and over again, well, it's because this guy's keeping me down, it's because that guy isn't giving me a job, because they've been put into this victim class. They've been led to believe that they have a lesser chance at the American dream than other people. It's not true. We all have an equal chance at it. We work hard. Goes to the grindstone. Anybody can go out and get college loans. Anybody can go to a trade school and learn how to weld, learn how to be a plumber. Anybody can go online now and educate themselves. So what you do is you take the responsibility away from that person for improving themselves, and you put it on somebody else. So now they're sitting there pointing a finger for their failures and lack of accomplishments. The best thing to do is to empower people directly. Advise them to do things in ways they can improve themselves directly, that is within their sphere of influence. You want to do better in society? Learn how to speak English correctly. Learn and embrace the English language. I'm telling you, it's one of the, you don't have to be smart to do it. Get a good vocabulary, expand your vocabulary. Dress nice, all right? Dress like a grown-up. Pull your pants up. These are things that can instantly elevate somebody within the social classes and with other people's perceptions. But they don't tell them to do that. They say, oh, it's this guy's fault over here.
Chapman, why hold this event in the wake of a double slaying and a steel shatter?
Well, the double slaying had nothing to do with us. The double slaying was done by a Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein supporter.
Whether it had anything to do with you or not, why hold this event in the wake of a killing that had this city shaken?
Why not hold this event? This event needs to be, we need to talk about free speech. Why would we not hold an event because some left-wing, mentally ill person killed somebody? This is when people need to come out and talk and communicate about our differences. This is when you should hold events. Let's all come out and talk about it. Everybody's trying to paint this guy as like he's a white supremacist, he's a Trump supporter. But dude was a mentally ill Jill Stein supporter that vowed to assassinate President Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Do you feel that people are communicating to them?
Well, you got a lot of communicating go over here. We're doing fine. So I think so, yeah. You got a lot of shouting over there by the intolerant leftists. And you got threats of violence by the domestic terrorist and the communist so-called Antifa. So I guarantee you, if one of us walked over there, we'd be attacked within seconds.
Kyle, somebody's asking, what did you think of Bill Mayer's free speech?
Sorry?
Bill Mayer's free speech talk that he gave.
I didn't catch it. Yeah, I heard he dropped an N-bomb or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. If somebody wants to drop an N-bomb, drop an N-bomb. It's free speech, man. I don't know how many times I've been seen comics get on camera and say cracker and honky, but because of the color of Bill Mayer's skin, he can't say the N-word. It's stupid.
I don't know if you already touched on this, but the situation at Evergreen State, did you mention that before? Is that connected to any of this?
So the problem with Evergreen State is the social justice warriors have run amok. So you've got a bunch of liberal retards over there that are students, the libtards over there that are students, these social justice warriors that have all been told that they're victims and that everybody has to bow down and kowtow to their demands because they're in this victim status. They're running around saying how horrible white people are, how terrible whiteness is, and then you have the president of Evergreen who has caved in to all their demands. The guy is pathetic. You wonder what happened to men. You look at men like that. The guy's not even a man. Grow some nuts. Stand up to these whining little brats. Give them a fucking spanking.
Well, I talked to him yesterday, and he said that it was all about free speech. He didn't agree with everything they were saying, but he wanted to let them speak and be heard.
You didn't just let them speak. He